something shifted inside you recently, not gradually, the way seasons change, not slowly, the way a tide pulls back. It happened almost overnight, like a switch was flipped in your spirit without your permission, and you have not been able to explain it to a single person around you. Not because the words are hard to find, but because somewhere underneath all of it, you already sense that whoever you tried to explain it to would not have the wiring to hold it. I know you, and I do not mean that the way someone says it to fill space. I mean it the way you can only know someone whose specific battlefield you have been watching. You are the one who holds everybody else together while falling apart quietly in your own room when the door is closed and no one is watching. You are the kindest person in every room you walk into, and it has never once been returned in equal measure. You have given your time to people who vanished the moment their crisis passed. You have given your money knowing it was not coming back. You have given your prayers, your presence, your peace, your best hours, your sharpest thinking. And at the end of all that giving, you have sat in the silence by yourself and asked God why you always seem to end up completely, utterly alone. But before I go one word further, I need you to understand something about why you are sitting here right now. This is Oculus of the Wise. And the Holy Spirit does not route chosen ones to this channel by accident. Heaven orchestrated this exact moment because what I am carrying for you is surgical, and it will not land the way it needs to land if you are only halfway present. Close the door. Put your headphones in if someone else is nearby. There are conversations that the Spirit only has with you when the audience is removed and the stage is completely empty. What I am about to release requires your undivided attention, because the enemy spent the better part of this week trying to make sure you would never get here. Now let me ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly inside your own chest. How many times in the last few months have you walked into a room full of people who genuinely love you and felt completely, inexplicably, devastatingly alone? Have you tried to explain that specific loneliness and found that no words came out right because it is not sadness exactly, not depression exactly, even though at 2 or 3 in the morning when your eyes open by themselves, it wears both of their faces? How many times have you stared at the ceiling in those early hours, feeling a weight on your chest that does not belong to you? A heaviness that you cannot trace to any specific thought or event, and quietly wondered if something was wrong with you? Have you noticed that the conversations you used to have effortlessly now feel like a performance? That you try to smile and engage and participate the way you used to, but your spirit is screaming on the inside from the effort of it? Have you walked into rooms that are technically yours, your home, your workplace, your neighborhood, and felt like a foreigner who woke up one morning and forgot the language everyone else is fluently speaking? And there is that other feeling, the one that is hardest to explain to anyone, the one that hits you in the strangest moments. You are standing in the middle of your own life, and out of nowhere, a voice somewhere underneath the noise in your chest whispers, "I just want to go home." And the terrifying detail is that you are already home. You do not know where that voice is pointing. You only know that wherever it is, you are not there yet. That is not a malfunction, that is not a breakdown, and it is absolutely not the quiet, creeping madness the enemy has been whispering in your ear every time the house goes still. I was not sent here to motivate you. I was not sent to give you a list of steps or a strategy for your mindset. I was sent to intercept a lie the enemy has been drilling into you daily, the lie that you are the problem. The lie that the isolation is abandonment, the lie that the exhaustion is proof you were never cut out for any of this. That lie ends right here. What you are experiencing is the most significant spiritual event that can happen to a chosen one. You are in the middle of a divine relocation order, and simultaneously you are waking up to the full weight of who you were always sent here to be. And the reason everything around you feels like it is dissolving is not because something is going wrong. It is because the grace has lifted from a season that has expired, and heaven is clearing the ground for a dimension of your purpose that your natural mind does not have the capacity to imagine yet. Let me explain what that means, because this is where most chosen ones get confused and make decisions that cost them years. When God assigns you to a place, a relationship, a role, a season of life, He releases a supernatural grace to sustain you there. That grace is invisible, but you feel it. It is the thing that makes the difficult things survivable. It is what gives you the patience to pour yourself out day after day without completely running dry. But when that season reaches its end, God does not come to you with a polite request to move on. He knows you too well for that. He knows how loyal you are. He knows you would stay in a dead season forever before you would leave anyone behind. So instead of asking, He simply withdraws the grace. The moment the grace lifts, everything becomes a burden. Relationships that felt natural now feel like heavy lifting. The job that used to have some semblance of meaning now feels like a cell. The city you live in feels profoundly, inexplicably lonely. Places that used to bring comfort now feel suffocating. And you walk through the environment that was once yours, feeling like you are wearing shoes that have been slowly shrinking for months, and you have only just realized your feet are in pain. That is not depression, that is divine eviction. God is making your current surroundings so impossibly tight that your own spirit pushes you toward the door. Think about a mother eagle. When the time comes for her babies to fly, she does not call them with gentle sounds. She begins dismantling the comfort of the nest. She strips out the soft feathers, removes the moss, and leaves the sharp thorns and rough branches exposed. She makes staying so unbearable that stepping into the terrifying open sky becomes the only rational choice. That is what is happening in your life right now. The thorns are being uncovered, the comfort is being removed. The divine agitation you have been feeling is not a sign that something is broken. It is the proof that your wings are ready for an altitude you have never experienced. If this is landing in your spirit right now, if you can feel the weight of this word pressing against something you have been carrying alone, go to the comments and type this phrase, "I know this feeling," and "I am ready." Do not scroll past this, type it as a declaration. Like this video right now and subscribe to Oculus of the Wise with your notifications turned on, because the enemy specifically targets chosen ones in this season of transition, hiding the instructions they need from their feeds when they need them most. Type it now. I know this feeling and I am ready. Now I need to talk to you about something that has been happening in your body, because no doctor has been able to explain it, and none of the people around you have even thought to ask. How many mornings have you woken up more exhausted than you were when you fell asleep? Not the tiredness of a rough night, something heavier and more specific. The exhaustion of someone who has been working all night without a single conscious memory of it. How many times have you opened your eyes at exactly 3 or 4 in the morning with a weight pressing on your chest that does not belong to you, a grief that is not yours, a sadness with no address pulling you out of sleep and holding you still in the dark? Have you had pain in your body with no medical explanation, a crushing tension in your shoulders that never fully releases, a stiffness in your neck, shooting pressure in your head, a tiredness that no amount of coffee resolves and no amount of rest seems to repair? This is not stress. The spiritual world calls this being recruited to the front lines. You are an Omega soul. I am not saying that to elevate you above anyone. I am saying it because it is a decree with weight, and you need to understand what it actually requires of you. Omega means the end. You are the period at the end of your family line's curses. That is why your pain has always felt denser than the pain of people around you. You are not just living your own life. You are processing the unresolved grief of ancestors who could not carry this weight. They were not strong enough for this assignment, so heaven surveyed every soul in your lineage and gave this mission to you. The rarest resilience, the one who would keep getting up, no matter how many times the enemy knocked you flat. And because you carry that level of anointing, you are also what the spiritual world calls an energy transmuter. When you walk into a room loaded with envy and darkness and unspoken conflict, your spiritual field begins working immediately to purify that atmosphere. You become, without your conscious participation, the thing that clears the air in that environment. And when you leave, everyone in that space feels lighter and more at peace. And you walk out completely wrecked, wanting to lock yourself in a dark room, wondering why you feel like you absorbed something from that place that your body is still trying to process 3 days later. They never acknowledged it. They never even noticed it was you doing it. They just kept sending their emergencies, their crises, their chaos, trusting that you would absorb it and hand something manageable back. And you did, over and over, at an enormous personal cost that no one ever thought to calculate. But here is what the enemy has been doing with that gift of yours. He has been using it against you with a precision that is almost admirable in its cruelty. He knows you cannot close your heart when you see genuine suffering. He knows your nature is to love and welcome and hold space, so he has been running the same strategy against you for years. He sends people into your life wearing the face of victims. They arrive with stories of abandonment and pain and impossible circumstances, and they pull on the deep well of compassion inside you. They make you feel you are the only soul in the world capable of truly understanding them. You take that mission on completely. You give your time, your energy, your prayers, your money, your most private thoughts, your loyalty. And the moment they are standing on their feet again, the moment they have drawn from your light everything they needed to get out of the hole they chose to climb into, they turn their backs. And often they use the intimate things you shared with them as weapons on the way out the door. The biggest betrayals of your life did not come from your declared enemies. They came from the people whose tears you personally dried. They came from the table. The enemy knew that if he sent an obvious threat, your discernment would rise and you would defend yourself. So he sent need, wearing the face of love. He weaponized your greatest virtue and turned it into the instrument of your depletion. And when you finally, slowly, began to draw the first quiet boundaries and stop running toward every alarm, they called you selfish. They said you had changed. They painted a version of your story in which every year you gave was erased and every line you drew was proof of your cold and bitter heart. Let them tell every version of that story they need to tell to anyone who will listen, because something is happening inside you right now that is more important than their narrative. A switch has been flipped in your spirit. The goodness is still there. The love is still at your core, pure and intact, but underneath it, something that has been sleeping for a very long time has opened its eyes. A holy indignation, a relentless and precise sense of justice that has nothing to do with revenge. You are beginning to understand that your kindness was never a permission slip for abuse. You are beginning to understand that you were not called to be the world's emotional ambulance. You were called to be the lighthouse. A lighthouse does not leave its foundation to chase the ships. It stands rooted to its rock, immovable, anchored, burning with a light so consistent and so fierce that every vessel that genuinely wants safe harbor knows exactly where to sail. The boats that ignored the storm warnings and wrecked on the rocks did not end up there because the lighthouse abandoned its post. They chose to sail toward the rocks with their eyes open. That is not a failure you need to carry. Your season of running is over. Stand in your place, shine from your place, and trust that the ones who are meant to find you will find you. Come down to the comments right now and type this declaration. I am the lighthouse, not the ambulance. Type it, mean it. Like this video to seal this shift in the spiritual realm, and make sure you are subscribed to Oculus of the Wise, because the next revelation in this series will go even deeper into the specific authority you are about to walk into. Now I need to give you back something the enemy has been stealing from you for years, and that is the correct interpretation of your own past. Think about Joseph. His brothers stripped him of the robe his father gave him. They threw him in an empty pit and sat down to eat while he was still down there calling out to them. Then they sold him for 20 pieces of silver and went home to lie to their father about what they had done. In their own minds, they were ending him. In the ledger of heaven, they were funding his transportation. Every injustice that followed, the false accusation, the prison cell, the years of being overlooked and forgotten, was not a detour around his destiny. It was the vehicle carrying him directly to it. The brothers thought they were writing his ending. They were writing chapter 1. Now look at the betrayals in your own story. Look at the ones who used you, who abandoned you at your lowest point, who spread lies about who you are. They thought they were taking something from you, but the betrayal was your pit. The abandonment was your prison corridor. Every door that closed in your face was a transportation system, moving you away from a place too small and toward a territory that was always yours. You were not crying over losses. You were grieving over cages that God had to pry your hands off of because you would not let go on your own. And here is the peace that should dissolve years of guilt in a single moment. Every single person who drained you, every season you poured yourself into with nothing returned, God is going to account for it. What was taken from you through false connections, drained seasons, and weaponized loyalty will be returned by heaven with interest. The restitution will not be small and private. It will be visible. It will be tangible. It will be public. They will watch it happen, and they will not be able to explain it or touch it or take credit for a single ounce of it. Now I need to prepare your spirit for the hallway, because you are standing in it right now, and it is the most dangerous stretch of any chosen one's journey. The old season is sealed behind you. The grace has fully lifted. The bridge is burned by a love that is more jealous for your destiny than you have ever been for your own comfort. And the new season is ahead of you, not yet fully visible, not yet fully formed. The hallway between them is dark, and it echoes, and the enemy does his most convincing work in exactly this kind of quiet. He will flood your memory with the good moments of everything you left behind, editing out every single piece of suffocation and exhaustion and silent grief you carried while you were living there. He will manufacture nostalgia for a prison. He will point to your quiet phone and your empty schedule and try to convince you that the silence is proof that God forgot you. And when he cannot pull you backward, he will try to freeze you with inadequacy. As God begins placing you in rooms of influence and authority that your natural understanding is not yet ready for, the imposter syndrome will arrive like a wave. You will look at the people in those rooms, the ones with credentials and polish and the right connections, and your body will want to quietly apologize and leave before anyone realizes you do not belong there. Do not move an inch. God does not go looking for the already qualified. The person with a perfect resume relies on their own strength and their own network. God is looking for the vessel that is entirely, completely, utterly dependent on his spirit, because when that vessel succeeds, no one can credit the background or the education or the circumstance. Every person in that room will have no explanation except only God could have done that. Your lack of worldly qualification is not a gap in your resume. It is the setup for the undeniable miracle that is about to require a stage. So when you walk into those new rooms, chosen one, keep your head up, not in arrogance, but in the settled certainty of someone who knows that heaven issued a decree signed before they were born, that their voice is specifically required in that atmosphere. The moment your feet cross that threshold, the spiritual climate of the room shifts. Darkness recognizes the authority you carry before you open your mouth. It already knows you are there. It already knows the relocation order is signed and final. Now place your right hand over your heart. Wherever you are, it does not matter what the room looks like around you. Put your hand on your chest and say these words out loud. Your spirit needs to hear your own physical voice. Come into agreement with what heaven has already decreed. Say it with me. Say it with the full force of everything you have been carrying. I am not the weight of what was done to me. I am not the sum of what was never given to me. I am not the opinion of anyone who could not see me clearly enough to stay. I am an Omega soul. I am a cycle breaker. I am the period at the end of every curse my lineage passed down before reaching me. The grace has lifted from my old season because I have outgrown it. The relocation order is real. The new territory is mine. I accept the weight, the calling, the authority, and the mission. I will not look back. I will not shrink. I will not explain my obedience to people who were never given my assignment. From this exact second, the only life I am living is the one that was decreed over me before I drew my first breath. Lord, I lift this specific chosen one before your throne right now. I thank you for every wound you allowed because it burned the addiction to human approval completely out of their veins. I thank you for every betrayal that freed their hands for what you were holding for them. I sever every invisible cord still tying them to expired seasons, drained relationships and assignments that ended long before they were willing to let go. I cancel every wave of false nostalgia the enemy plans to send. I release a supernatural boldness over their spirit to walk into unfamiliar rooms with the full weight of heaven backing every step they take. I declare that the resources for their new assignment are already in motion and moving toward them. What was stolen will be returned with divine interest. The hallway is closing behind them right now. The new door is standing wide open. The shift is complete, sealed and irreversible in the name of Jesus. It is done. If something lifted off your shoulders during that prayer, if the chains you have been wearing so long you forgot they were chains just dropped from your wrists, do not keep that to yourself. Go to the comments right now and type sealed and stepping forward. Type it as a public stake in the ground. Let it be the record of the exact moment you stopped running from the size of your calling and started walking toward it with your eyes open. Let me tell you what is waiting on the other side of this hallway, because your spirit needs a vision to move toward, not only a season to move away from. God is preparing a table for you, not a modest table in a quiet corner. A lavish, overflowing, impossible table set in full and open view of every person who counted you out, who laughed when you stumbled, who privately bet their chips on your breakdown. You will not eat at that table with your head down, ashamed of how far you have come. You will sit with your spine straight and your eyes level, carrying the kind of peace that only belongs to someone who has learned that God's justice never confuses the address, never loses the envelope, and never delivers a single day behind schedule. They buried you in the ground thinking they were disposing of something finished, but they were blind to what they were actually handling. You are a divine seed, and seeds do not decay in the dark. They rupture open and they drive upward through the weight of the soil above them, absorbing the very nutrients of the darkness that was meant to be their grave. You have been driving upward for years. You have been breaking through. And what is emerging now from that ground is not a sprout. It is the tallest, most deeply rooted, most abundantly fruitful tree in the entire landscape. They will stand in its shadow and know in the marrow of their bones that they are the ones who put it there. Your current silence is not surrender. It is the stillness of water gathering itself before a wave that rearranges the entire shoreline. Your time is not slipping away from you. Your time has arrived. Everything that was taken, every year that felt wasted, every door that slammed, and every person who walked out, it was all chapter 1. The palace was always the destination, and you are standing at its gate. If this word landed in your spirit tonight, the way I believe it did, If you feel in your bones that Oculus of the Wise was placed in your path for this exact season of your life, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications. Like this video as your agreement that you received what heaven sent through it. And find one person, one chosen one walking through their own hallway right now with no map and no language for what they are experiencing, and send them this video before you close this app tonight. Because the most powerful thing a chosen one does the moment they step into their own authority is reach back and make sure someone else does not have to navigate the dark alone. You were chosen before you were born. You have been ready longer than anyone, including yourself, has been willing to admit. Now go walk in that.